Hello everyone and welcome to Eyes to See. My name is Chris and I'm going to be guiding you through this decode. This is going to be on the show Friends, specifically the very last episode of the series. And the name of the episode is called The Last One. This episode was featured heavily in a recent movie called Leave the World Behind, which was executively produced by the ex-president Barack Obama. So we're going to get into that and more. So stay tuned and hope you enjoy the decode. Let's move on. So this is my methods of decoding. I use the Chaldean Gematria cipher. That's based on the phonetics of the sounds of the letters, and it goes from the number 1 through 8, and the letters are grouped up phonetically, just like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, the 8 notes on a musical scale, where 8 represents the next octave, is how the Chaldean cipher is arranged. It's also the oldest cipher known in history, so it has that antiquity, and in my opinion is the most accurate cipher. It ties in well with the periodic table of elements, as well as the tarot deck and also the rules of numerology. It's paired very well with the English ordinal cipher. The Chaldean gives us a lower score generally. The numbers range from 0 maybe to about 120, basically matching the periodic table of elements. Beyond there, it gets a bit tough to decipher words, and that's where the English comes in. We get higher scored values. As you can see, Z is 26. There is no 26 in the Chaldean cipher, so English gives us sort of another avenue to explore the meanings behind these numbers. And again, we then look to the periodic table of elements for further guidance. And all of this is centered and anchored in the Bible. All of our symbolism, we go to the Bible for the root symbolism and then expand from there, and that's where we use the Strong's Concordance of the Bible. That's where the numbers of the Hebrew Bible and the Old Testament are indexed, as well as the New Testament, where they're indexed in Greek. And we can see further meanings from there. To break down dates, I use the cards of destiny that translate into the tarot deck, and that gives us some further insights into the meaning behind the numbers in dates, using the rules of numerology, the rules of pi, and the rules of phi. Those are infinite and transcendental numbers, and we can extract meaning from those number sequences as well. And every once in a while, I'll use some astrology to help with my decodes. I didn't do that for this decode, but maybe in a future decode, that's something I will use. All right, well, let's begin. So I'm going to start off with Leave the World Behind. So this movie, Leave the World Behind, was executively produced by Barack and Michelle Obama. You can see here that's a screenshot from the opening sequence, and this here is captured from IMDb to show you that Barack Obama is actually listed as the executive producer of this movie. So let's start seeing what numbers we get when we decode. So Leave the World Behind, the title of the movie in English, gives us a score of 192. And what meaning do we get out of the 192? We go to the periodic table of elements, and we see 192 is a perfect match at iridium, the 77th element on the periodic table of elements. And the artwork we get for iridium comes to us from the Royal Society of Chemistry, and they put a dragonfly up there, and the dragonfly represents the dragon. The name is derived from the Greek goddess of the rainbow, Iris. And if you see Iris there, that's Siri in reverse, if we're wondering where Apple got its name for its artificial intelligence system. And the rainbow is a reference to us. We are the rainbow. There's our chakra system there, red to violet, and we are the upside down rainbow in a metaphorical sense. So we'll see that if you see any Skittles commercials where it says "Eat the rainbow," it's a reference to us. So just right off the bat, you can see I'm just going to outline who I believe Mr. O here is and what he represents. So this is a picture off the internet. I believe it was released on Twitter at some point and identified to be our ex-president here wearing this costume. So you can see what it is. According to Snopes, this isn't him, obviously, and we know that through that it's been found that these fact checkers are nothing more than opinions. So that's Snopes' opinion that that's not him. I think we can judge this for ourselves. It's alleged that the gentleman beside him here is his congressman Archer Davis, and I included a picture off of Wikipedia of Archer Davis for all of us to compare, and we can make our own judgment from there. Leave the World Behind, like I said, is a 192. It's a 78 in Chaldean, so again, English gives us the higher score than Chaldean. Leave the World Behind is 78. In numerology, 78 is a match to 77. It's only one number apart. And the thought process behind there is when does one number begin and one number end? So, or another way of looking at it is the one difference is us. We're the one difference. So if you take you or God out of the number, it's the same thing. So Leave the World Behind is a 78. That matches the words trauma-based mind control. It matches demonically possessed. Matches Lucifer, the Lightbringer. Matches the Queen of Heaven, Order of the Illuminati, Economic Depression, and False Flag Operations. And I thought it was interesting that one of the main characters in this movie, played by Mahershala Ali, goes by the character name GH. He actually introduces himself in the movie as such, and GH is the number 78. G is 7, H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. And right off in the movie poster, you can see this encoded arrangement for the word ball. Right here, ball is a 7. Ball is one of the names of the devil. So we see that there, and it is interesting if you look at how they arranged the letters and the actors' names to make that line up. But again, is it a coincidence? We can all judge that for ourselves, I suppose, and maybe after this decode you won't think so much. So let's move on to the next page here. All right, we're going to break down Mr. O here, and this picture is his official presidential portrait. I believe it's hanging in the Smithsonian, and it's an interesting image. It was painted. The name escapes me off the top of my head, but it is his official portrait. And through the work of Jonathan Kleck here, who has outlined, basically he put a clear overlay over the image and drew in the lines. And these dark lines on Mr. O's head are just the change of shadows in the imagery, just drawing and basically following the lines. And you can see what emerges is a viper head. And Mr. O, his full name off of Wikipedia is a 56, and that number 56 will come up. It's important. It's an important number in this decode. The Friends, the last episode we'll see, was released on May 6th, and May being the 5th number, on the 6th day, we can interpret that to be a number 56. So Mr. O sums up to 56. So does the words snake in the garden. That is also 56. And 56 is tied to mind control. And we see here in the Chaldean cipher that mass mind control is 56. We see it's tied to things like a soccer ball has the pentagon and the hexagram on it, the 5-6. And then so his name, if you don't know, has a reference to this Luke 10:18 verse in the Bible. That's a popular verse amongst the occultists and Satanists. We see an example of that on a Nike shoe. It's a Nike Satan shoe, and it was released by a hip-hop artist called Lil Nas X. And I believe that there's only 666 pairs of these. There's a drop of human blood in each one, and I believe they were sold for a sum total of $1,018 to match the Luke 10:18 here. And that's the 10:18. You can get rid of the 0, and that will be a 118, which is adds significance to that number. But when we look to Hebrew, the word barak in Hebrew is the word lightning. The word bama in Hebrew it means a high place. So you can see that here. Sorry, oops, that's pencil. Let me erase that. How do I erase that? Right there. Sorry about that, guys. Let me highlight this. So it means a high place, and there's the word bama there, a high place. It's the number 1116, and then here's the Hebrew 1300 in the Bible. That word is barak, and that means lightning. Barak, lightning. And then the word bo in Hebrew, like the word o, is the Hebrew word 935, and that means to come, to befall, to bring forth. So if you look at Luke 10:18, it says, he replied, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven, like barak, from a high place, heaven, from heaven. That matches his word and his name in Hebrew. And here we have his presidential portrait, and encoded within the presidential portrait is a giant viper head matching snake in the garden. And like I said, we saw him on the previous slide in that costume. So a lot of coincidences going on here. All right, let's move on to the next slide here. All right, so to start the movie off, we can see one of the opening scenes. I think this is at 2 minutes and 12 seconds in. Our character here, played by Ethan Hawke, is getting up out of bed, and the arrangement of the clocks. I mean, I don't know who has 3 clocks in their room. Not me, and I don't know anyone else that does. But we see here there's 3 clocks, and they're arranged specifically so that the 6s stick out. You can see that especially on the 3rd clock, where the coffee cup is hiding the minute signs, exposing only the hour 6, and that gives us an encoded 666 reference right off the top. It's also in the blue room. Blue is you'll see is it's attached to the Cain side of the twin system. We know that as the blue bloods versus perhaps the red bloods, the Adam bloodline. So and then again, there's another 666 reference. These aren't my findings, by the way. These were I believe Tommy Truthful has shown this, perhaps Donut. I've seen it on the internet. I just can't remember exactly where, and I don't want to have this come off as these are my findings. I'm just showing them for the people that haven't seen them. And you'll see here that we're going to skip ahead in the movie a little bit. And again, I hope everybody that's watching this decode has also watched the movie, that there's no spoiler alerts. In my opinion, if you're going to be watching a decode of a movie, chances are you've seen the movie, and now you want to know what was hidden in there and what it was really talking about. So we see here at 1 minute and 14 seconds. The 114 is really a big reference. It's tied in Chaldean. It's tied to Prince of the Power of the Air, sums to 114, and that reference is again another reference to the devil. We see it in Ephesians 2:2. It says, "Where in times past you walked according to the course of this world," because the devil owns this world, and we all walk according to the devil's world until we're converted in Christ, and we understand that we now have the eyes to see the world for what it is. And so where in time past you walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air. And that's why it's said in, Satan has power over the internet and all the airways, television, broadcast, all of that has power over all those things. The spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. And then we see the number 666, and that again is a biblical reference for people who aren't unaware of it. We get the 666 number from Revelations 13:18. That reference is, "Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666." And a lot of people miss this concept here. This "here is wisdom." I think we're supposed to understand this. We're supposed to overcome the 666, because the beast is us. You're the beast body, or your flesh is the beast body, and overcoming the understanding of 666. Six is reference to the carbon on the periodic table of elements, the 6 protons, 6 neutrons, the 6 electrons. So what we see here is the reference to the number of a man and the number of beast, and that number is 666. So having to slay the dragon, slay the beast in our lives is really what the 666 is tied to. But again, the Satanists like to take the sacred understandings, the sacred numbers, and basically light them on fire and make everybody afraid of them. And they put them in scary movies like this, so that people look at a number like 666, they kind of get freaked out by it, and then they never look deeper into it. But here we go. This is on the Tesla car sticker in the movie when all the Teslas are all crashed up on the highway. And we see on the sticker is the 116, which is a 9/11 upside down. And that's another reference to Revelation 9/11, where we find another reference to the devil. And then the number 550 here underneath it. And that, again, in numerology, we can ignore the 0. So 0 is just a placeholder, or shows us an octave. And then what we see here is the number 55. 55 is another satanic number in English. I didn't put it in the decode slide here, but in English 55 is Satan. So is the 5 and the 5, which adds up to 10, say 10. So so here the 116 plus the 550, well, that gives us the number 666. So there's 2 encoded 666 references in this movie, made by Mr. O. In the Snake in the Garden portrait and the Halloween costume. So here we go. All right, so at 6 minutes and 14 seconds into the movie, Julia Roberts and her family have rented this Airbnb, and now they're coming into the house for the very, very first time. And as they walk into the house, the scene's set up here to have this grandfather clock set up in the left-hand corner of the screen. And we notice the time on the clock is 11:16. And that's almost confirmed later in the movie. Another almost like 10 minutes later, I believe it's on a different date at this point in the story, and they show the time again, and they actually zoom in on the grandfather clock to give us a clear view of the time in case you missed it. And that's at 17 minutes and 23 seconds for those looking for it. And again, that's 11:16. And interestingly, 11:16 in the Bible is Bama, a high place, which I showed you before. So, and what I believe was a reference here is that high place is a reference to where the destination that Satan wants to achieve. And we get that from Isaiah 14:13, which interestingly enough is pi backwards. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. And that is El the Almighty in breakdown in the Strongs. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north, and that's where we get a reference to north face where the sun doesn't shine. So that's Isaiah 14:13. That's the high place I believe Lucifer is trying to rise above, and that's the Barack Obama reference, and we see it twice here in the movie, precisely at 11:16. All right, so as the movie progresses, the cyber attacks happening, the power's going off, the emergency systems are going off, and this scene in the movie right here, they try and turn the TV on. It goes through a series of numbers, but it rests on channel 122, and they hold it here for a little bit in the movie. And you can read the screen. It says National Alert, not a test, emergency warning, emergency broadcast system, issued an unrecognized emergency warning. And this is at 30 minutes and 25 seconds into the movie. So I thought in reference to the number 122, I recognize that number. I know it is a biblical number. It's tied to Adam, and it's tied to the red blood. In understanding that we're in a DNA war, that when they reference our blood and our DNA, it's something to pay attention to. And then it says here 122, what is coming in 2024 sums to 122. And in English, we see the words "the end is near" in 122, and the Emergency Broadcast System National Alert, which we see here, National Alert Emergency Broadcast System, gives us 122 again. And interestingly, I'm going to get into, but Monday, April 8th is a very big date coming up in our calendar. That's the date of the eclipse. I live in Toronto, so this eclipse is going to go right over our head here in Toronto. We're going to get a full view of it. But I'll get into more of what this eclipse represents in the decode. But just to show you right off the bat, from the release date of this movie was released on December 8th, 2023, 12/8 or 128 in numerical reference. That from Friday, December 8th, 2023 to Monday, April 8th, 2024 is precisely 122 days, matching this on-screen number they left there for us to see. And I thought it was interesting. I ran unrecognized emergency warning, and in English that came back to 322. And 322 is a reference to Skull and Bones, which I've done a decode on previously for any of those who are interested in going back and seeing that or reading it. But that number 322 is tied to the Skull and Bones Secret Society from Yale, and we have 2 President Bushes that have graduated from there, as well as many other very powerful alumni that we can go on Wikipedia ourselves and read who they are and see how much power they wield in our world. And that's just what we know. So let's move on. All right. So after they watch the TV upstairs, GH and his daughter here, they go downstairs into the basement to where I guess there's a bedroom and sort of where they're going to be staying. They put on the television, and this time the television sits at channel 114. 114 is not a test, and we saw that on the screen. And 114 is also a number, like I said earlier, it is a reference to Prince of the Power of the Air at 114, which we saw referenced highly in the movie Top Gun. Maverick's plane was the 114. He was the Prince of the Power of the Air. And then, and in English, 114 matches Nightmares, My Fair Lady, Mass Genocide, Infiltrate, Hell's Angels, First Lady, Curse of Cain, Conquest, Starbucks, which I've done a Starbucks decode, and in the Starbucks decode it was tied to Alien Ant Farm, which is a name of a rock group, but the symbolism and symbology they've represented is that insect symbolism that was tied to Starbucks. And then we see here the twin X, which is the twin female system. We Are the 2X is a 114, and from this scene to this scene was, I believe, less than a minute, and we see the twin X symbolism on the lamps and behind it there. All right, let's move on. All right, so they go out and about, they start exploring the world, and I believe this is Ethan Hawke's car. He's out exploring, and then they focus in on his car radio, and it starts in staticky. It shows us that it's wrestling between no signal and the signal of 1619, and it kind of flashes back and forth in the movie. And interestingly, no signal is a 91. Matching what they're talking about here is a cyber attack. That's a 109, and again, we can look at that as a 19, and then backwards it's a 91, mirroring the no signal. And then so we hear when it's flashing the 1619 on the screen, we can hear static in the movie, and then it kind of fades in, and we get this now getting reports that the fallout from the ongoing cyber attack has led to a catastrophic environmental disaster in the south affecting animal migration patterns, and then it's more static. And interestingly, we got the understanding of the word cyber attack, which we saw here as a 109. Interesting, the word patterns, that's a reference to the father, the pater, right? So there's a divine masculine reference in there as well. And then 1619 being a 4-digit number, we look to the Bible. 1619 in the Bible is the word ektenos, and that means intently and fervently, earnestly, strenuously, fervently. And I thought this was interesting. It's describing the verbal idea as extended out, and this is coming in verbally, this message, to its necessary full potential with undue let up. And that's what this broadcast is attempting to do. It's really pushing this message out, and it's got this very interesting biblical reference tied to it. All right, well, let's move on. All right, so they're out and about. This is the scene with the two kids. Again, this isn't. I think this has been going around and on the internet as well. I'm not sure who found it first, but shout out to them. We see the Obey NASA setup here in the movie, the subliminal messaging, and interestingly, the Obey T-shirt brand and the artwork used for the Obey is done by the same artist, and that artist, the designer of the Obey clothing brand, Shepard Fairey, is also the person who created the iconic Hope poster for Barack Obama's 2008 presidential campaign. I mean, what are the odds, right? So this is done with intent, in my opinion. So we have the Obey clothing line, and put together is Obey NASA for the subliminal understanding. And I found it interesting. This is a sort of a meme on the internet, but you'll see the snake connecting to the sort of the red vector here in the NASA logo. Obey NASA sums to 82. 82 is a reference to lead on the periodic table, so that's what that number is tied to. Lead is tied to the Philosopher's Stone. The Philosopher's Stone is a legendary alchemical substance said to be capable of turning base metals like lead into precious metals like gold. It is also associated with the elixir of life, believed to grant immortality. And it's tied to the idea of turning our lead souls, our bodies, our flesh, lead into gold, into ascending, into transmuting lead into gold. And the gold is our ascension. And that's what really the Philosopher's Stone is talking about. Same with slaying the dragon and sitting on all the treasure, the gold at the end of the rainbow. It's all the same stuff. And interestingly, a Philosopher's Stone in Chaldean is 82. And what we get more meaning from the number 82, we see that it matches the number of the beast, Operation Warp Speed, I am sick, should I go to work, the Georgia Guidestones, the beginning and the end, what is on the other side, I am the Alpha and the Omega, impossible coincidences, won't be for everyone, journey to Mount Meru, which is the center of the earth, another reference to ascension. I think you'll be very happy. And I did a little research. The logo here for lead at the Royal Society of Chemistry is based on the alchemical symbol for lead, and the alchemical symbol for lead is tied to the symbol of Saturn. Lead and Saturn are connected through many things. And the symbol is very similar, especially if you turn either one of them upside down. If you turn the Saturn logo upside down, you'll see that it matches this pattern. So a lot of interesting connections there. All right, well, let's move on. All right, so we're going to talk about these eclipses. So this is the twin eclipses, and what we see here, this is the pattern of the eclipse, where the bulk, the 100% shadow is located, and it makes a line over land as it passes. And on August 21st, 2017, we had that first part of this X eclipse, or this twin eclipse, go over the United States. 41 days after this eclipse was October 1st. Just as a note, that October 1st event was the Las Vegas shooting at the Route 91 Harvest Festival. And again, 91 is the inverted number 19. So, and 19 in the Bible means slaughter. So the next eclipse is the April 8th eclipse, which I referenced earlier in this decode. that being 122 days of time distance between April 8th and the launch of Leave the World Behind, the movie. And you see here on April 8th, the pattern goes again over the United States and parts of Canada here, including the Toronto area where I am at. And where it crosses over, where it completes that X, where X marks the spot, is St. Louis. And St. Louis has the Gateway National Arch there, which was made in the 1960s. And when we look at what the Gateway Arch National Park resembles from the sky, we see that it matches the female reproductive system quite strikingly. So interestingly, that Gateway Arch in English is 112. I've done a decode on room 112, and that decode revealed that it's tied to the female very heavily. The Virgin is the 112, as well as Leviathan, which is the name of the entity outlined around the Church of Satan's logo in Hebrew letters that spell Leviathan. So that's where we get that reference from. So moving on. So that, just to show the relevance of that twin eclipse, we saw one major event happen as a result of this eclipse, and that was the C19. We can read that word there. I'm new to YouTube, but I think this word is a trigger word that gets picked up, so I won't say it. But we can see here that the COVID-19, these were originally began in the United States on December 14th, 2020. Well, that day is the exact middle of time between that first eclipse on Monday, August 21st, and the next upcoming eclipse on Monday, April 8th, 2024. It was precisely 1,211 days from that eclipse to December 14th, 2020, and it was 1,211 days from December 14th, 2020 to the next eclipse completing the X. So 1211 in the Bible is used to give emphasis, urgency to a statement in a clause expressing demand. It's the word day. It dramatically gives precision and emphasis to a command, implying that it is for a special purpose and to be obeyed at the time, perhaps like lockdowns or mandates. Strongly affirms what at last has become clear and now may be assumed as true, has passed through the needed process and can be fully relied upon. Safe and effective? All right, well, let's move on here. So the movie Leave the World Behind references this Friends episode pretty heavily, and I captured 4 different references to this episode. One at 1713. I can't read the time there right now. I'd have to zoom in. 58 minutes and 51 seconds, and then at 2 hours and 12 minutes and 17 seconds once again, and then immediately right after that was this larger one here. So that's 4 references to this Friends episode called The Last One in the same movie. We're going to break down this episode. So the last one sums to the 119, or the 911 in reverse. 119, as we saw in my Groundhog Day video, for those that watched it, thank you very much. I appreciate all your support. 119 is the all-seeing eye, matching falling angels, lost sheep, and use the key. So the last one was the name of the episode for the very last episode of the series for this very popular sitcom Friends. Most people know it. So this is from Wikipedia. The last one, which was also known as the one where they say goodbye. So there's 2 different titles, but they chose this one, the last one, is a series finale of the television sitcom Friends. The episode served as the 17th and the 18th episode of the season. It was released on May the 6th when it was watched by 52.5 million viewers. It was the most watched entertainment telecast in 6 years and the 5th most watched overall television. So it was interesting. That's a 5-6 reference, and I just remember now I didn't include it in the decode, but I believe this episode was featured heavily or had a big tie to the 56th Emmy Awards as well. There was another 56 reference to this. It was released on May 6, 2004, and in the episode, the whole episode is about Chandler and Monica adopting twins. So this whole thing, like I said, the whole episode is about twins, and like I said, the entire war, the spiritual war I believe we're under, is a DNA war attacking the twin system. And here we see this is a representation of us. You can see this is Alice in Wonderland. This is right at the beginning of the movie. Alice means of nobility, of royalty. She's the angel falling from heaven. She's going down the rabbit hole into time, following the rabbit, the moon, the sex, down this hole, reaching for the light in the darkness. And then the next thing she sees is her reflection in a mirror, and she's upside down. So we have our one up and our one down, the twin system, the Cain and Abel, the red and the blue. And we see that understanding comes to us from the Bible, from the word spirit, and that's the Hebrew word, or the Greek word 4151, meaning pneuma, like pneumatics and air, the breath. That means spirit or ghost, figuratively a spirit, the rational soul, or we can understand that as superhuman, an angel demon, which is our twin system, one up, one down, or the capital S understanding of spirit in the Bible. That means divine God, Christ Spirit, the Holy Spirit. So when we see the capital S in the Bible, it's still referencing pneuma 4151, but it's referencing the Christ divine spirit. When it's lowercase s, it's referencing the superhuman aspect of us, being angel, demon, the unconverted. When the I is single, we're under the Holy Spirit. But prior to that, we live our lives as superhuman, angel, demon, one up, one down, the twin system, the Cain and Abel, the cannibal system, the snake eating its tail. All right, let's move on. So this is, friends, the last one. And as you can hear, it was season 10, episode 17, which they show in the movie, season 10, episode 17, which is a 7-Eleven reference. I didn't put that in here, but because I felt that the bigger significance was that that cryptically, it truly was the last episode, is season 10, episode 18, and that's a 10:18 reference, going back to Luke 10:18. And the executive producer of this movie, or the executive producer of Leave the World Behind, was Mr. O here, and his sum is 56, matching the 5-6 of when the last episode was released. And we see here that May 6, 2004, we'll use the cards of destiny to understand a numerical value for dates, and we'll break that down. The May 6 lands on the King of Diamonds. The King of Diamonds is the 39th card in the poker deck, and that card is associated with the King of Diamonds being the master of higher values. And then again, we can take the cards of destiny and convert them into tarot. The King of Diamonds converts to the King of Pentacles. Diamonds being rare earth minerals valued as currency. Well, that's what a pentacle is. It's just a coin, it's a currency, it comes from the earth. So the King of Diamonds then converts into the King of Pentacles. And the King of Pentacles is the 77th card of the deck. So again, we get that number 77 reference through Leave the World Behind, through Friends, and the last one. We get another 77 reference to the Dragonfly, and Iridium as the 77th element here on the periodic table, Iris, the goddess of the rainbow. And this 77th, the King of Pentacles is in the tarot deck, its understanding is that the King of Pentacles embodies the dependable aspects of maturity. This card is tied to success, it's tied to money and status. If it represents an event, it may be a financial windfall or a promotion, right? So we hear in Chaldean some relevant words we find in the database. We find New Order of the Ages sums to 77, and we see that here's on currency, the coins, on the American dollar bill. New Order of the Ages is Novus Ordo Seclorum, translated from the Latin into English. And 77 also matches Synagogue of Satan in Chaldean. And King of Diamonds is the 39th card of the deck, and 39 is a major reference to Lucifer, the Halloween costume that this gentleman likes to wear. All right, let's move on. So Friends is a 28 in Chaldean. So we're going to start off and get our numerical value for Friends. And what do we get from our understanding of 28? We looked at the Chaldean, we look at the database, and we group up the words that match themes. And we see here 28 is Lucifer in Chaldean. 28 is also a reference to our hands. We have 14 finger bones, 14 phalanges, which is interesting because in this last episode of Friends, they talk about the left phalange of the plane not working. But we have 28 phalanges in our two hands. Those 28 phalanges play 88 keys on a piano that gives us the piano. But 88 matches architect, or 28 matches architect. It matches one eye, like the all-seeing eye we see on the back of the dollar bill. It matches reptile. It matches Hussein, the middle name of Mr. O. It matches a satanic mark. It matches Squid Game, which is I've done a decode on as well. And we saw in that decode that Squid Game is a reference to the Kraken, and the Kraken's a reference to the devil. So it's really a reference to Devil's Game. And then we have Throne, Vatican, Cyber Attack, which we saw earlier on that distress signal, Blackout as a result of the cyber attack, No Signal, which we saw in the movie as well, Disorder, Division, Divide and Conquer, Stay Inside, Operation Jade Helm, which for those that don't know, I highly suggest a bit of research, and it was tied to FEMA camps and stockpiling of resources that's concerning. The words New York sum to 28, Eclipse sums to 28, and as we saw there, the twin eclipses plays a significant role in the dating of this movie. End Time, Rapture, and the End all sum to 28, matching Friends. And when I watched this episode, I noticed that they at 1 minute and 22 seconds in, the 122 is when they show us the Friends logo here at the beginning of the episode. And again, I was saying the number 122 stands out to me. I know it from being red and rusty and tied to the word Adam, the human host body. And 122 in Greek is of a goat, and satanic doctrine is turning Christ's sheep into goats, into fornicating goats. So let's move on. Oh, I thought this was funny. This was the AI art of I got it to kind of draw some Friends characters as goats. All right. So this is at 35 seconds into the episode, and what I was able to capture was this dragon on the back of the imagery. It's a dragonfly, and we've seen the dragonfly come up twice in this decode already with Iridium. And the reference to the dragon we get from Revelation 12:9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And we can see that how it deceiveth the whole world. And I think there's a movie called Unusual Suspects where they reference the idea that the greatest trick the devil played was making the whole world believe he doesn't exist. And I would say that's true. We can see these references here in Friends, and once we pick them out, we can see all these impossible coincidences. So here's another reference. We can see here behind on, I believe this character's name is Joey. Behind his right shoulder here on the fridge, we see the pentagram, and it's upside down. And that upside down pentagram, I believe was done with intent, is matching the Church of Satan's logo here that I referenced earlier with Leviathan, which was a 112 in the Hebrew letters surrounding the logo. And we see that the five-pointed star here is a reference to us, the celestial luminaries, the stars, the angels, man being five-pointed, our head, our two arms outstretched, and our legs, and that reference is our head is down in this reference, down as a representation of the direction towards hell. And here we see the goat inside the five-pointed star because they've successfully turned Christ's sheep into goat in this position through the Leviathan, which is the snake eating its tail, the life, death, rebirth cycle of Mother Nature here. Okay, let's move on. I thought this was interesting. At 12 minutes and 2 seconds into the episode, they showed us the coffee shop, the famous coffee shop called Central Perk. I thought it was interesting. We got the twin reference here. We got the two twin coffee cups, and in between the twin coffee cups is Central Perk. And behind on the wall in the coffee shop, we see a picture and a reference to Jesus that looks like Jesus with his arms outstretched on a cross with a halo around his head. And that's inside the coffee shop. So Central Perk summed to 40. 40 in Chaldean is tied to, it also matches Westworld for those that know that television show reference, which basically showed the human host body and the sort of the difference in the humans. But 40 is a reference to calcium on the periodic table. We see here that 40 is the atomic weight listed on calcium. And calcium is heavily related to clay. We know that calcium is an integral to the structure and the function of clay minerals, and it plays a significant role in soil chemistry, plant nutrition, soil structure, and various sort of different industrial applications. And I got that from ChatGPT. But yeah, calcium and clay go hand in hand. And again, we had that clay reference in Leave the World Behind with Ethan Hawke. That was his character's name, Clay. And Clay's also a reference to us being formed as by the Lord with like a potter, like potter's clay. So it's a reference to us. It's a reference to our bones, the calcium in our bones, the clay. And so again, it's a reference to our sort of our flesh body. And then so if you capture that, our flesh body in the twin system, and then we have Jesus in behind that twin system. And then here is the first image that was captured of the twins in the episode. The twins were named Jack and Erica in the episodes. It was a boy and a girl. This was at 1431, which is an anagram for pi, and the word Jack and Erica summed to 19, matching the word twins, matching the word word, which is logos, or in John 1:1 in the beginning was the word, which matches the understanding of pi. Spirit and soul and womb are also 19 in Chaldean. And interesting, the sun is the 19th card in the tarot deck. And this picture here of the sun, we can see that this little body in here represents spirit coming down the DNA into matter onto the white horse from the sun. So yeah, lots of interesting references here. So we'll move on. This is at 17 minutes and 12 seconds in. This character comes in and unravels this sign that he's made, and it says, "Welcome to the world, baby Bing." And that is going to be Matthew Perry. He played Chandler Bing, and he was these are his twins coming into the world. And interestingly, Matthew Perry passed away just before Leave the World Behind was released on December 8th. And Matthew Perry died on October 28th. Again, we can ignore the zero numerology. So October 28th is a 1028, and ignoring the zero, that number turns into 128. And that matches December 8th's release date of 12/8, 128, 128. There's an interesting match between his death and the release of the movie. And considering that I think Courtney Cox, not Courtney Cox, but Julia Roberts, I believe, was married to Matthew Perry in the movie. So there's a lot of connections here. All right, so welcome to the world. Welcome to the world, baby Bing. Welcome to the world sums to 80 in Chaldean, matching 5-card Charlie pays 5 to 1, which we can see right behind Chandler here at 2557. And they show this apartment a lot in the episode, but this was this was the clearest image of this sign just over his intercom here. 5-card Charlie pays 5 to 1 is 80, matching Welcome to the World. It matches Emergency Broadcast System, and it matched Matthew Perry, his full name, Matthew Langford Perry, in 80, and it also interestingly matched the Mephistophelian bargain, which is a deal with the devil, is what that means, matching 80. Moving on. So they're rushing to the hospital, and they jump into this cab, this yellow car. The car represents karma, often in movies as a symbol. And on top of the taxi cab here, the number of the cab is 2X85. And I saw the 2X, that's the double X, we are the 2X. And 85 matches rubidium. It's the weight of the 37th element, rubidium, which has the artwork of one eye. The image of an electric eye is inspired by the use of rubidium in photocells, sensors that detect light. Well, we are the light, right? So Friends was a 28, matching One Eye, which was a 28. And then she's about to get onto an airplane. I forget her character's name here. It's played by Jennifer Aniston. But she's about to get on to this airplane, and she's heading to Paris, and the whole drama of the episode is that Ross here is chasing her and wants to express his love, and she's getting on this airplane, and she'll never be seen from again. And as she's getting on the airplane, she's talking with the guy, with the ticket guy, and on the back wall we see here a reference to the one eye. There's the all-seeing eye on the back wall, and it's gate 21A, and that could be read as gate A is the first letter, so that could be 21-1 or 211, which is a big number, as it's the 47th prime number. But we can just hear that it's gate 21, which I thought was interesting because 21 is the 21st card in the tarot deck, which is the gate, right? It's the world that we live in. Here's the 21st card of the tarot deck, right? And we see the 2X symbolism on the card, right? The snake eating its tail. We see the female goddess in the middle holding the duality wrapped within the DNA coil, right? All within underneath the cosmic clock, the Aquarius, the Scorpio, the Leo, and the Taurus. The Eagle, the Echina, and the Scorpio are one and the same. And then and this is at 27 and 42 minutes into the episode here. And flight 21 to Paris, the number 421, we can go to the Bible for insight. That word is annex keniastos, which means that cannot be traced out, right? Literally, not able to trace the steps of. And she's being followed at the exact same time in this episode by Ross. Properly impossible to track, unable to follow. So I thought that was kind of an interesting reference. All right, we'll move on. So just to understand the twin system, I just wanted to express this because I'm going to make a reference to the Targum and Cain and Abel in a second. So just to understand, in Genesis 4:1, It says, and Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. In Genesis 4:2, and she again bare his brother Abel. This is the birth of Cain and Abel. And Abel was a keeper of the sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. So in Strong's, in eSword, and she again bare Cain is a reference to 3254, the original Hebrew, which means yasaf, which means to add again, to conceive again, to continue, to add or augment her pregnancy, right? To augment her pregnancy, to conceive again, to continue, right? So she continued giving birth because he's a twin. So we see here that ChatGPT, just understand the Targum, because we see this understanding in the Targum. So the Targum, consisting of ancient Aramaic translations and interpretations of the Hebrew Bible, emerged as a vital tool for the Jews who, during and after the Babylonian exile, increasingly spoke Aramaic over Hebrew. Notable examples like the Targum Onkelos and the Targum Jonathan offer more than literal translations. They provide paraphrases and commentaries, illuminating how scriptures were understood in late antiquity. These texts are invaluable for their insights into Jewish cultural and linguistic history, preservation of traditional interpretations, the original interpretations of what was written there. So here's a picture of Cain and Abel. For those who aren't up on the Bible, Cain, the evil brother, the evil twin, killed the good brother in the Bible, right? So here's Ross. He's trying to track down Jennifer Aniston here, and she's left to go on the plane. And at 38 minutes and 55 seconds, we see the scene set up here, and we see the twin towers on the pictures behind with the light in between them. See the light? So that is very similar to the twin tower reference we see here in New York, with the light in between them. It's a picture off the internet here. And then you can see the red and the blue imagery on the plane and behind, the yin and the yang, the red blood and the blue blood, right? And we see here that twin eclipses is a 47, total eclipse is a 47, eclipse code is a 47, sun and moon is a 47, silver and gold, King Solomon, who made Solomon's temples, square and compass, like the Masonic square and compass here that we see with its 47 degrees in at the compass, matches 47. First temple, 47. Idol worship, 47. Transmutation is a 47. Energy harvest is a 47. The universe is a 47. Love and light, 47. Love is the way. Body of Christ. And Yod-He Vod-He, the Tetragrammaton, right? The name Jehovah is also a 47, right? So, and in English, Cain and Abel is a 47, the twins. And here's the Targum, Targum 4. And Adam knew Hava, Eve, his wife, who had desired the angel, and she conceived and bare Cain. And she said, I have acquired a man, the angel of the Lord. And she added, she augmented, she continued to bear from her husband Adam, his twin, Abel. So Cain and Abel are twins, and it's a representation of the system we're in, the twin system, the Cain and Abel, the cannibal system, the Cain and Abel system, the snake eating its tail, the cannibalistic system that we're in. And we can see here the twin pillars from this Masonic tracing board, the Yakin and Boaz, right? Another reference to the twin towers we see here that Ross is showing us. So lots of things going on in this episode. I hope this helps anyone else, and maybe the fellow decoders see other things that I don't see, and lots to see here. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks all for tuning in, and I'll see you on my next decode. Thank you, everyone. Much love. Good night.